So let's get back again. What was your reaction of your basically what? How did your parents react it when you told them that you were supposed to leave them, so to speak, and to go to go living abroad as a missionary?
Yeah. So to me, that was a really scary conversation. Like I was saying, I was really worried because I knew my mom would be scared of me going to possibly dangerous countries
Mm-hmm,
and just be really far away and everything. And also, I wouldn't be able to see them for a very long time. And
mm-hmm,
I also thought, my dad, he's going to think it's career suicide. You can't do this. It's not smart. It's not wise and everything. So,
mm-hmm,
like, I know them. I've known them for since I was born. So I know how they are. And then I was just really scared to have that conversation. And I was talking to my friend who was on board, who was on the ship, and she told me that there were other crew members who were so afraid to tell their parents and their family and everything,
mm-hmm.
and basically God made a way. And it was like, yeah, but you don't know my parents, you don't know how they are, like this is not how it's gonna go with me. And then so I went back to France for the weekend. And when I arrived, I couldn't stop talking about the ship because it'd been so amazing. And then in the evening, I sat with them and I said, I have to tell you something. Um, and they said, what, like, do you plan on leaving everything and going to dangerous countries and like trying and save the world or something? And I was like, kind of. And then and then they said, oh, do you want to go on Logos Hope? And like, I don't know how this happened because I knew what I was going to say. I hadn't decided anything. I wasn't sure myself because I was still afraid. I was still, like
Mm-hmm.
I still had these thoughts. But when they asked me that question, are you going to go on the ship? I said yes. And when I said yes, I was so shocked. I was like, what? Why did I just say yes? Like, I had a whole thing planned. I knew what I was going to say and everything. It was just to
Yes.
prepare them to the idea, but I
Mm-hmm,
hadn't decided that I was going to go on the ship.
mm-hmm,
But I did say yes. And then I was like, oh, wow. I don't know. God did something in that moment. And my parents said, wow, that is amazing. We're so happy for you. That is such a good idea. We're 100% behind you and everything. And when I saw their reactions, I was just completely shocked. And I kind of felt like I was out of my body and watching the scene from above and being like, whoa, God is doing something and this is amazing. And basically he gave me so many answers, but he gave me that final answer in that moment. And I had so much peace and I knew that he was telling me, like, this is me
mm-hmm.
telling you, it's not a crazy idea in your head or anything. You don't need to overthink anymore. This is
Yeah.
my girl. And then from that moment, the day after, my friends came over for my birthday, and I told them, I'm leaving. I'm going to be a crew member on the ship. I'm going to be a missionary, and I just started
So,
telling everyone.
how did they react to your decision of leaving your parents as because I might thinking if I were you, maybe how did you I would have say, Prisca, what's going on with you in your mind? Why did you decide to go like this and leave us astray and just go like this and start a new world, meeting new people? So how did your friend react it when you tell them
Um,
that you were supposed to leave the country and go somewhere else to serve God?
I think I think they were really happy for me.
Oh,
I
that's
think
a good friend
for
then. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for
Mm,
those who are not believers, they thought it was super exciting because I would be going to so many countries and doing
mm,
humanitarian work and
yeah.
helping people and everything. Like they kind of ignored the telling
The
people
preaching
about
part.
Jesus. But
Yeah, and the
yeah,
missionary part. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
and
so getting back to this, I think we can say it in different way in the sense that um, for people who don't know Christ, who are not believer, they might think that oh, it's very good because you were supposed to leave your parent and go outside in other countries just to be as a working as like a humanitarian work and seeing new people sharing gospel of God around the world is not only the thing they see at the first sight. They might only think that since you go aside abroad, sorry, and you meet some other people, you are doing like people like for what you call in France la Croix Rouge, and people will go outside and help people who are actually in needs. So I think it's I'm actually thinking about when Christ was choosing the disciple. And when he came, most of them they were busy doing something else, right? For those who were working, maybe as a fisher, they were doing they were doing fishing, and when they encountered God, something happened to them. They decided to leave what they were supposed to do before, and they left everything behind and they followed Jesus. I think that's the first step. If you would like to follow Jesus, you need to leave everything behind,
Yeah.
take a personal decision and decide to follow Jesus. So it's not always easy as a Christian for us to live what we have, what we have, the dearest thing we have in our heart, and to leave it behind and go follow something because we don't even know what is ahead of us. It takes a lot of guts to leave it below, behind us and go forward for doing something we don't even know what we might encounter in the future while we're doing our service for God. And that's what Romans in the Bible describe. And people who have faith, like Abraham, he left everything behind. He left his family, and he decided to go for a country where he didn't even know what was ahead of him. So basically, this step of faith is what you did, and it's very interesting to see that you have had the guts, so to speak, to decide. And this time, I would like to go serve my God, and you said it straight to your parent. And we need to be also like this as Christian. We need to be when God. One of the things you also said that you were you were fasting about it before, right? You were fasting before taking this decision. It was
Yeah.
very important for you to fast and to seek God's approval, because when we have God's approval, we can do whatever we want to do because you know that God is on our side, right? We won't be afraid of facing any issue because even if we are facing any issue in the future, since I'm in a God's wills, I won't bother myself because God is beside me, and we give Him the strength to overcome any obstacle or any situation I will be facing in the future. So I quickly wanted to touch on that because it's very important to stress it and to know that as a Christian, we also have a life. We also work. We also do whatever we can do, and deciding to go, deciding just to leave everything. You said you were starting your career already. You were working already. You left your salary. You left your comfort zone and decided to go outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's very impressive, and I would like to thanks God for that because otherwise, the job you did when you were serving as a missionary, you were not supposed to do that. So that's a right segue to my second question. I don't know if it's the second or third one. Anyway, that's a right segue. How did by being a missionary, how did this impacted your life afterwards? Because you spent like more than 5 years, right? More than 3 years, right? If not mistaken.
Uh, oh, I mean, full-time missionary, almost 3 years. So
Yeah.
about 2.5 years. Yeah. Yeah.
So okay. So it's if you put the 2.5 years aside, so how did it impacted yourself after the person you were before, the Prisca-Sarah you were before your departure? Is were you the same person when you came back to France, or when you came back from your missionary? Are you the same person you used to be before, or some changes happened to your life?
No, I think God changed me again.
Uh-huh.
And I think he's changed me many times, but you have to be willing for that to happen.
Mm.
But I think being in missions completely transformed me. Um, so I was talking about the fact that when I became a Christian, I realized that Christians were the most persecuted
Yeah,
in the entire world. That was the first
amongst
time
you.
God broke my
Mm.
heart. The
Uh-huh.
second time God did was when I heard about the unreached people groups.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't know this, um, but there are over 3 billion people in the world
Impressive.
who
Yeah.
have never heard of Jesus Christ.
A huge amount, and one of the sign of Jesus' return will be that the gospel of God needs to be preached all around the world, and the unreached people
Yeah,
need also to receive the gospel of
yeah,
God. So, mm,
yeah.
go ahead.
So
Yeah,
we're not talking about countries. We're talking about people groups,
yeah,
and I I I don't know. It just completely broke my heart. And you know that song where we sing, "Break my heart for what breaks yours." This is what God did with me, because
mm,
I was just thinking about all these people, because in our countries everyone has access to the gospel. Like, they can
yeah,
buy a
yeah. In
Bible
France,
in a
we do have it.
bookshop,
Yeah, yeah,
they can download the Bible app, or they can have it for free on the internet, or
yeah.
they can go
You're
into a
lucky.
church, or they can talk to
Mm,
a pastor, or they
yeah.
can talk to a Christian. So they
Mm,
have access to the information. So
mm,
it's up to people to accept God or reject him, and decide, like, I am my own God, or like, I make my own rules, or like, don't need God. But
mm,
these people, they don't have a choice, because maybe being a Christian is illegal in their country. The Bible is illegal in their country. The
mm,
Bible doesn't exist in their language. Or missionaries don't want to go there because it's far and it's uncomfortable and it's dangerous and everything. And also, not many Christians are ready to leave everything to become
mm,
missionaries. So we
mm,
can be comfortable missionaries, and kind of stay in our countries, but not many people will be willing to go to these places where you're basically going to eat food that you don't like, and comfort will not be a thing, and you probably won't have money, and
mm.
so it's a huge sacrifice. But when I realized this, it was just like, well, these people don't even have a choice. So they don't even have the information of Jesus Christ. They don't even know that he came, that he can give them life, that they can have eternity with God, they can be in peace internally. And I don't know, it's just so hard, because when you become a Christian, when you're born again, God changes you and you start having a relationship with him. And if you
Mm,
love God, you have to love the people he created, because he loves them. And I'm not saying that
definitely.
loving people is easy,
Yeah.
because
Mm,
loving people is so hard. But the best way you can love people is not by giving them stuff and doing the right thing and everything. Like, this is good and we should do it. But the
mm,
best way you can love someone is by giving them the opportunity to know God and to have
definitely.
salvation.
Mm,
And this is, I knew that I wanted people to know Jesus before I went into full-time missions, but God completely changed my heart for the unreached, for the people in the 1040 window. And I never want to be passive again. I think God showed me that we are very comfortable. And, if you're in your comfy church, in your comfy seats, in your comfy couch at home,
mm,
watching a
mm.
TV show, you're just like all snuggled up and everything, and
Yeah,
and, and you don't want to move. You're not going to seek discomfort. And so comfort is such a huge trap, because if you're comfortable, you're never going to be like dangerous to the devil, because
yeah.
then you're not going to want to leave that comfort and do the thing, like, go. So yeah.
Definitely. So it takes, yeah, definitely. What you said is actually very very impactful. Yeah, in the sense that indeed we are very lucky here, us as French in France, to live in a country where we can download even the Bible. We can do whatever we would like to do. Some other person that they can't even read it. They can't even
Yeah.
read it. I
Yeah.
was the other day. I was watching. I think it was a documentary. A documentary. Sorry, for people in China. They were like in a tank. So they were like
Mm-hmm.
praying like in a tank. So they were hiding themselves from the government, so to speak, because
Yeah.
they didn't want to be persecuted. And then it was very difficult for me to see such thing, because here in France, we are free to go to the church on
Yeah.
Sunday, in the week, and to do whatever we like to do. Since France is a light country, we can decide to. You can do whatever you want to do, in the sense that you can
Mm-hmm.
decide to accept God. You can decide to be an atheist. it's a country which has been set up like this, and as Christian in such type of country, we are very lucky to be here. But something is also very important, that things might change in the future. And what is very sure for us is that God already told us that in the coming days, it will be difficult for Christian people, to not only people who are actually living in a country where it's very difficult to confess your faith, but even for us who are living in such a comfortable country, a country, so to speak. So we need to be also preparing ourselves to that, and in the sense that we need to know that we have it will happen someday. We need to prepare ourselves, and it's already starting, and not only in our country but also in other countries, where things are currently being implemented, in the sense that we are not even if you cannot see it for now, but it will come in the future, where Christian will be persecuted. Sorry, and they won't be able to preach the gospel of God freely. So that's very important to know. And also, you also said something about being comfortable in our comfort zone. That's also very important, because when you already used to living in such a way, you are always afraid of seeing something else. But you, speaking about yourself, you decided to leave your comfort zone and go outside, not knowing what will come in the future. But you stood up for God. You say that now, Prisca-Sarah, you need to go, and you went, and it was for a reason. Because one of the things I like to say is that we are all blessed to be a blessing. So what you received as a gift from God, it's not only for you to hide it in your room, but you need to go outside so that people can see the light on you. And that's what the Bible say. That's what the Bible say. If you have a lamp, your lamp, you don't need to put your lamp under your bed. You need to put it wherever people will see. It's the gift you receive from God. You need to go outside and say, "Go tell it on the mountain, Jesus is alive." That's what you need to do. You need to go outside. Go tell it on the mountain, Jesus is alive. Definitely, you need to go outside, tell it on the mountain. You need to preach. So whatever you would like to do. So that was the main idea why I've decided to open, so to speak, this podcast, because we receive from God a lot of gift, and we don't know which person might bump into this video, and we don't know what it's gonna do in his heart. In the heart of that person, so we need to share the gospel of God as much as we can, and that's what the Apostle Paul said to Timothy, like, uh, don't be shy. Don't see only don't see only your youthness, but you need to go outside and preach the gospel of God in any good situation or not. Go and preach the gospel of God. So that's basically what led me to open this podcast.
And that's also what, the last thing that Jesus said before he ascended to heaven, in Matthew 28 verses 18 to 20, I think. I hope. Where before he ascended to heaven, he said to his apostles and disciples to go and make disciples, go to every tongue, every tribe, every nation, and that's what we call the Great Commandment. So obviously that's one last thing that we can't be ignoring. And as I was saying, if we have that love within us, it's not possible to know God, to be saved, to have a relationship with him, and to not have that love that he has for others. Because I remember a few years back, I was talking to a friend and I was crying because I was saying, I don't understand why I still sin. It's just it just hurt me, like Satan has lost, I belong to Jesus, I am saved now, so why do I still sin? And before my friend could say anything, just God said to me, if you're ashamed, if you're kind of paralyzed, you're not going to be doing my work, because you're not going to feel worthy. So if you sin, this is the best way for you to not be doing anything. And clearly this is what God wants, like when I became a Christian, I could have ascended straight to heaven, Faith is what saves us, but I do think that God wants us to be active. He wants us to be part of the body. So, we're not called to be inactive and quiet and hidden, we're also called to be wise and do things the right way, because God shows us and the Holy Spirit leads us. So like there is a way to do things. But yeah, I do think that there is a reason why we are still on this earth. And I think
Yeah.
that God is giving us the honor of using us to bring
Mhm.
people to Him.
Definitely. So God has entrusted us with a mission. So we need to go inside. We need to go outside and preach the gospel of God. That's very important. Just to remind our Christian that we need to do that in the sense that we will all one day pass away, and we will meet our Creator, our God, and we'll ask us, "I gave you Prejol'a, I gave you this talent. To you are able to sing. You are able to do many things for God's glory. Why didn't you do that? What's happened to you?"
Yeah.
And I don't want to find myself in that position. So that reason why I'm using what God gave me
Yeah.
for his glory, because this is what I've been called to do. So thank you again for touching this point. So now, how do you see your life now that you've managed to have this mission? So what are your perspective for the future? How do you see your life in terms of in terms of a mission? Do you now want to serve locally only, or also be able to go outside again as you did in the past?
I feel like there is a lot of uncertainty for me at the moment. So I feel like God is leading me step by step, but
Yeah,
he's not showing me the big picture yet. So
definitely.
I still have a conviction that God is going to call me and to send me into missions again,
Mm-hmm.
but I just don't know what. I don't know when. I know that I have, like, my heart has to be accepting and willing. And the first time I had to give up on everything, God made it happen. So, like, there is nothing glorious about me leaving my life because God did all the work.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there's going to be another mission. I'm just not sure how and when. So at the moment, he sent me to a region of France which is called Alsace, which is
Okay.
in the east of France. Um, so I work there, and I'm willing to serve where I'm needed. So in my church and anything else that I don't know that God shows to me. So I'm just serving locally at the moment, but I do have a feeling, I guess, that there is going to be another mission. But I mean, God doesn't tell us everything all the time, so we
Yeah.
just have to be patient and
Mm-hmm.
accept that He reveals things in His own timing. So I just have to be willing, and I just have to be faithful and serve wherever I am at the moment. But I mean, what He's transformed in me wasn't for nothing. So at the moment, I'm still connected with the realm.
Okay.
Yeah. So we will see. That's a thing that we can pray about.
Definitely. So we see how God leads you. So highly appreciated, Prisca. I think indeed what you said is very important also to stress on that point is that we don't live for ourselves, and we need to be always aware of what God wants us to do, because we don't need to partake in such a thing where God is
Yeah.
not with us. It will be
Mm-hmm.
such a nightmare. It will be such disaster, so to speak. So we need to be able to only have God on our side, because if God is with us, nobody can be against us. Amen. I like this scripture.
Amen.
So that's very, very important to stress again.
Yeah.
So, of course, that's very, very interesting what you said. So, I have a couple of questions again before wrapping things up. So which advice do you want to give to, or you would like to give to some people, some person who are actually watching us, who are actually not willing to go for a mission, who are actually maybe fearing of what might come ahead of them. They don't know if it should be a good or bad decision. Which advice can you give them?
Mm-hmm. I will say, so it's based on three words: pray, give, and go. So
Pray.
all
Oh,
of
really?
us,
Come on. Could you please repeat it again? That's very interesting, Prisca. What you say? Pray, give,
and go.
and go. So could you just break it down for us? Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Just break it for us.
So I think praying, this is all of us. We can all pray, and we can pray for everyone, and you can pray for missionaries who are on the field at the moment. You can pray for the unreached people who have never heard of Jesus Christ, who have heard of Coca-Cola, of course, but Jesus no. So what are we doing? and and you can
Kudos,
pray.
kudos, kudos to Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola got everywhere. Jesus is like, you can't even compare it, but Jesus can't be anyway. And then also pray for people to be willing to go. So you could be praying for yourself, you can be praying for others, but for more people to be going into the field, because the harvest is huge, but there are very few workers.
Definitely. Harvest is huge,
Very,
but there is few workers. That's what the Bible say.
yeah.
So go ahead. Go ahead, sorry.
And very few people are willing to go on the field.
Hmm.
Very few people are willing to harvest. Give, that would be supporting missionaries who are willing to go. So one huge difficulty about being a missionary is that you have to find people to support you, to send you on the field. And in France, it's a really complicated thing because people are really close to their money, and they have that attitude of, it's my money and I do what I want with my money, and I
Yeah,
work for
yeah,
my money,
yeah.
and like, don't talk to me about my money and don't ask for money. And
It's mine, it's not yours. So
exactly.
yeah.
But instead of having the perspective of God made it available for me so I can use it for his glory. And that's something that I would understand giving to the church, but becoming a missionary really opened my eyes to this. Supporting missionaries is really hard. Asking for support is really hard, also because we're human and we're sinful and we're prideful. And people don't make it easier either. So give, just like be generous with your money. And if someone is willing to go, because like literally I could not be going back into missions because I can't find people supporting me financially, and I feel like money should not be a thing. Like money should never be a stop if someone is willing to be serving God so that people know about him. And the third one is go. I think if you're a Christian, a born-again Christian, and you're willing to serve God with everything, I am not saying that it's easy. Like I said, I had to be fasting for a while. I had to sit in the filing cupboard at work every day during lunchtime, and then God gave me Bible passages and worship songs, and then he did that thing with my family, and like it was really hard for me because my life was comfortable and I never lacked anything. And it was just leaving everything, and it doesn't make sense in the world. Like you don't leave comfort, you seek comfort in the world. And yeah, God challenged me with this. The passage you were talking about earlier, I don't remember if it was Zebedee's sons who were fishing and they were on the boat with their father. And then Jesus from a distance told them, come with me, follow me.
Follow me,
And
yeah.
they dropped their nets.
Everything. They drop
And
everything.
they left the
Yeah.
boat and they left their father. And I remember reading that passage, like sat on the floor in the cupboard. And I had read it so many times, but that time it just shocked me. And I was like, oh, wow, Lord, is this what you're telling me to do? Like, you're telling me to leave everything to follow you? Like, not just with my words and my heart, but literally.
Yeah.
And I remember it impacting me so much because it's easy to say, you know, when I became a Christian, I said to God, now I am yours. I belong to you. If you tell me to go, I will go. And God said, so are you going now? Are you willing to go? And we have to be asking this for ourselves. I know that for me, like there is no glory at all because I was scared, and then God showed me 100% that was him. And I knew that if anything went wrong, I wouldn't have made a mistake because this is what God wanted. So I was completely at peace. So like there is nothing brave about me going because God made it happen. But we have to be willing to go and not just say, I belong to you, I will follow you, but literally, if he says, go there, I'm willing to go. So pray, give, and go.
I like this triptych. I highly appreciate it. I think it's very, very interesting to know that. And you said it better than me. He said, and it's very important for us to know that if God has called you to do something, just pray for it. Just make sure to confirm that whether or not it's coming from God, He will reveal Himself to you. If you seek
Mm.
God with all your heart, He will reveal Himself to you. That's what the Bible
Yeah.
says. And also, the second point you've stressed is that we need to give. Indeed, why we need to give? Because people who go for mission, they need also to have some support coming from people who are
Mm.
only not only people who are from the same church, but also from people who belongs to other churches. So you need to give because when you give, this is where you also receive from God. Very
Mm.
important to know that. And the best way to show somebody that you love him or her is to give, And what God showed us is he laid down his life for us. That's the best kind of love. He gave
Mm.
his life for us. So we also might also willing to give uh, whatever we would like to give. There's no specific amount. You can give. You can give your time. You can give your money. You can give whatever God has given you to somebody else for God's glory. And the third point you've stressed is that after you've managed to complete it, step one and step two, so to speak, the step three is to take yourself to collect yourself and then pack your things and go for a mission. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid because God will always be with you. He will never leave you alone or forsake you. Go with
Mm.
the strength you receive from God. As God said I think Gideon, I think. Go with the strength you receive from God. This is what the Bible says.
Mm.
You need also to do that. You need to don't be
Mm.
afraid because God will always be with you. We are
Yeah.
all young Christian. We have some experience with God, and we've seen from the past years of every day. We see that when you trust God, He will never forsake you. He will never abandon you.
Mhm.
So thank you again, Prisca-Sarah. It was a pleasure for me to meet you again, to see you after a while. It's been such a while since we spoke. So I'm very happy to see you again. To see that you are managing to serve God where you are at in
Mhm.
Strasbourg, the city. I will not
In
say it like this.
Strasbourg.
Yeah, one of my favorite
Perfect.
cities in France with La Place
Yeah,
Kléber.
for sure.
Yeah, so hopefully I will see you very soon, and,
Mhm.
and definitely we definitely keep in touch. Okay.
Thanks
So
for having me. God bless you
one last
guys. Yeah.
one last word before leaving. Do you want to say something?
Um. Yeah. Okay. So I had one thing on my heart.
Yeah,
Um. As Christians, like people who are self-proclaimed Christians, born again, nobody is called to do nothing. Like if you're a Christian, you're part of the body, and we're all called to be active in some way. So not everyone can go, and not everyone can give. Some of them are called to go, and we have to accept it because I think a lot of us it's really hard and we just don't go. And a lot of us we're close to our money and it's hard to give because then you're like, oh, but if I give, then I can't have this and that. We have to think. So just think of Micah chapter 1, where God is talking about the way we're giving him like the wrong sacrifices. He gives us time and he gives us money. So everything is his and he blesses us with these things so they can be used for his glory. And I think all of us have to be active in some way. So if God is not calling you to go, give so that people can go. But also be active in your community. Like your church should not be run by 5% of the people in it. Your church should be a body and everyone has a place in it. So
definitely.
either like okay, this is me, but I think if we stay, we should be supporting missionaries and missions and something aside from the church, but also being active locally. And I think otherwise, other people are called to go. But all of us, we're not called to doing nothing. Yeah, that's it.
Nothing to add again. I think I will wrap things up over here. So thanks again,
Yeah.
Prisca, for your time, for taking this time, sitting down, talking with me. Highly appreciate it. So for people who are actually watching us, stay blessed to be a blessing. Bye bye.
God
God bless you
bless.
all.
Bye.